warm welcome if you're a returning subscriber or if you're new and you've stumbled across Carolyn Musings channel. I'm Vanessa and I'm filming for Carolyn's Musings on YouTube and Etsy and One Way Journals on Facebook. So I've got a bumper tutorial for you today. This is part 2 of the Days of Old Journal tutorial series. So if you haven't seen part 1, please go check that out and then come and have a look at this one, or this one and then the other one. And it looks like it's probably going to be maybe 3 and 4 because I've got lots of ideas to put into this journal. So today we're just going to look at some of these, how to do some quick little pocket notebooks. Then we've got a look at how to do different types of envelope closures. We've got freebies, there's lots of freebies, and then we've got a beautiful letter from the Bookmaker, which is part of the freebie for the Facebook group. I've got a little flip open for a telephone with a tag in there, and then secret pockets in a typewriter. I've got a journal, a big journal card here with the freebie for Facebook, the freebie fussy cuts and things that are made into a big journaling card with a belly band. And then we've got a flip which is going to have some pockets on the front, and a flip and some tags, and then how we can use up our scraps to make some awesome journaling cards as well. Okay, so hope there's lots in here. I'm going to keep it short so we can flick over to the next section. The first thing I wanted to show you was the freebies that Carolyn has just released to the Facebook group. So oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I uploaded the video and then I had a bit of a chat online with Carolyn, as we're, you know, at least 12 hours difference in time zone, so we try to catch each other. And she watched the video and saw some of the things that I had done in the journal with some fussy cuts, and so she has so humbly and generously released these to the Facebook group. So how fantastic are these? So I loved these images, so she's provided that for us, so you don't have to print. If you wanted to use her like I did in a pocket in the first video, part 1, you don't have to print out the whole page and try to enlarge it. She's done that for you. So how gorgeous is that? And then I also asked if, she's so gorgeous, I said I wanted some male images to put into this journal, so she has produced these for us. So how fabulous. I also said a stopwatch, so she's put that in there. And look at this beautiful fan and a perfume bottle that's in there. So thank you so much. I know exactly what I'm going to do with these male images. And then there's another fabulous one here. Look at that mo. How fantastic is that? Moustache. And so she's done that with some more fussy cuts here. And then on the Bookmaker's letter, let's see if I can find that envelope, this one here, I had put this image on here and said that I was going to make up a little label that said especially for you. So she's actually done that for us as well. So she's included that. That's going to sit on top of here. You don't need to print out that page because there's a fussy cut of that if you wanted to put it anywhere in the journal, or you might want to put it on the front of the envelope like I did for this one. So, oh gosh, fantastic, very vintagey. And then as Gina and I had produced this flip envelope, you would have to print that page 4 times. She's put all 4 onto the one page. So you only have to print out one page and then you've got the 4 elements to make the flip pocket. Let's see, if you haven't seen part 1, I would just highly suggest if you can go over there and have a look. Where did I put it? Just a sec. There we go. So this is just where it's been printed once, and we've created a pocket by putting that on top. So here we go, here's the flip that is sitting in underneath this added page, which is stuck on the top of this base page. And so there's a pocket here, and then a pocket in between. So you can print on the back. I've just sort of stuck on the top half of those envelopes where they come together, I've stuck some hem paper. Okay, so how great are those freebies? The other freebie in the group is this letter from the Bookmaker, which I mentioned in part 1. So Carolyn has released it for the Facebook group. It actually has one that's just got very vintage tea coffee dyed paper, so it's a plain one. So there's that. She's also created one with these blue flowers that will fit into this journal that I'm making at the moment. So I raced to the printer when she did that, and I have actually reduced mine down slightly just because my envelope, I wanted it to fit into this particular envelope in the journal. And the way that I folded it is it's not quite in proper thirds because I wanted this title to be seen in the window. So I folded that up, and if you have a look here, there we go, you can see a letter from the Bookmaker, and so that's sitting in the window, and you can see that. How fabulous, how exciting. So in part 1 you would have seen that I printed off some of the pages from the Victorian Blue kit, which has been designed by Trish Myers, that's Carolyn's daughter. So they're beautiful. I've just printed off some of the pages from that kit, and then I printed off some of the ephemera as well, which I didn't show in the first part 1, but I'm showing you now. Unfortunately, I cut them all out before I realized I hadn't filmed it, so sorry it's all in little sections, but there's a beautiful variety of ephemera pieces in her add-on kit. So what shall I start off with? Now, what I have done is, all of you that have a sewing machine and you sew around your ephemera pieces, I totally understand now why you love to do it. I always sort of felt like I was short of time and not that confident on my machine, but it's really added, if you do have a sewing machine and you're inclined to sew, it really does add an extra weight to your ephemera pieces, but also the beautiful texture that you can feel on them as well. So all these pieces here I've actually done with a cream thread. I'm just going to pull that up, hopefully that is focusing. And also a lot of the other ephemera pieces, I added the lace papers. I had a couple of light blue pieces from the textured paper kit, and so this light blue that's on the back of that is actually from the textured paper kit. So how gorgeous is that? So I've done these ones in cream thread. So there's journal cards, there's tags. Look at these little teapot floral images. So there's some fussy cuts here of some teapots and cups. And then another journaling card. Isn't that pretty? That blue on the back. Another journal card. So I have sewn around all of these, and then a great variety of postcards. So there. And then there's a great tag, gift tag there. And then we've got some pockets. How sweet are those birds there? And then that's some faux stitching on those pockets. And then there's some labels, etc. that I've cut out there. There's some floral fussy cuts. Here we go. And then we have some little ephemera pieces. And then these are great add-on florals, not florals, but butterfly little labels and things that you could put on top. And then there's a range of things like this, which if you put two together like that, we can try and make a hidden paper clip and put it over two sides, or they can be like little gift tags in little pockets. There's a couple of circle images there as well, a couple of little stamps and everything. So this is just some of them. Sorry it's not all shown to you in a sheet, but I would refer you back to the information box. In there I'll list the links to the Etsy shop with the Victorian Blue kit and the add-on ephemera kit as well, and then you can have a look at those and what comes out on each sheet. Okay, I think I'm now ready to click over to let's get on to making some ephemera. Okay, let's start with something simple. So you might have seen two of these are in the kit. They're very cute, so you can leave them just as is. I have sewn around the corner on those, and you could just leave them as a simple little ephemera piece to put into a pocket. And I have just reinforced this, you'll know why in a minute, with some washi. So I've used a glue stick and just run that over the washi and then stuck that down just to reinforce that spine. On this one, what I did was I had some of this light green marble paper, so I've just ripped it with my ruler to give it a bit of a rough edge. I can go and ink in it later, and what I did was, if you have a sewing machine, you can just run a straight stitch down there. So there's 3 double pieces in there, that which will give you 12 bits. You can add as much or as little as you like. So that's that one. I'll just quickly show you how I've done that. So I've torn the edges on this paper here as well, and then what I've done is I've come in here and folded a little bit less than the edge here because I don't want it to be coming over, so that's good. So what I want to do is get my ruler and just rip that. So I might be able to use that for something else later on. Okay, so that means that that's the right width there. Now what I want to do is make sure that I can rip it just a little bit less than that. So the measurement is just under 4, so it's 3 7/8. So I probably want to rip them at 3 6/8. So I'm just going to do that. Hopefully I'm still in frame. Here we go. So there's 1, 2, and then the last one. Got to get my fingernails in there to pull that. Okay. Now, if you can't do that, you can just cut it and then rough it up with some scissors. All right, so I've got my 3 pieces. I'll stick them inside each other. There we go. So of course the inside ones are going to be a little bit wider than the outside ones. So my washi is stuck down there. That will go in there. Now what I want to do is snip off these sides. So I'll move that one up just a tad. A little bit there and a little bit there. And I don't want them right on the edge, so I'm just going to cut them a slither a bit more. Now these edges are all rough, except these are now straight. So what I'm going to do is just get the side of my scissors and just run them like that and rough up those edges. Just like that. Okay, now you can ink the edges now if you'd like to. And then instead of sewing this one with the sewing machine, I thought I'll do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'll just show you that quickly. I'll just line those up where I want them. I'll stick a little peg or a paper clip or something just to keep that still. And then this is how I've got my embroidery thread. So I'll just choose a colour, probably this blue one. Okay, and then you want to measure 3 times the length. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm just going to thread the needle and click back on again. Okay, so I'm not going to try and measure this, I'm just going to wing it. So grab somewhere in the center. And because I'm doing this, this is why I put the washi in, just to try and reinforce it a little bit. So through the center, from inside to the outside, and then up the top here somewhere, from the outside back into inside. Make sure this piece doesn't come out, and then from the inside we go down to the bottom to the outside. There we go. Let's just make sure that's still there, and then make sure the thread is tight. So I need to pull that just a little bit, so that's tight as well. And then we want to just come back in the same hole, and we want to come in the other side of that thread. Whoops. There we go. I probably haven't left enough of a little thread here. I haven't given myself a lot to tie with. Let's see if I can pull that without ripping it. Probably can't. Okay, let's hope this isn't too fiddly. Leave yourself a longer. Look how much thread I've got on the other end. I should have done that. So we left over right, and then right over left. That will just give you a secure knot. So just showing you this in case you haven't seen how simple it is to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. There we go, that's all that's to it. And then chop that off, a little bit on that end. There we go. And so as simple as that, you've got yourself a little notebook inside there. And I just picked the sort of blue paper there because it went with the little blue basin that was on the front. The next thing I wanted to show you was how can I fix this where the print, if I show you, you might be able to see that the printer runs some lines through this, but the inside on this side, it was perfectly fine. So I don't want to throw this out. It's not a waste. I could always cut down this page and glue it down onto something, or I can keep it as is and cover up this middle section. So what I've gone to is my stash, and I found this, which is a beautiful hymn to include as a flip, to God be the glory. Now I found this is in the Vintage Tattered Hymns kit, so that's where I got that from. And I have just cut a 1-inch strip of some scrap paper that I had, and I've glued that down on this side and then just sort of brought in the edges a little bit. So I'm going to glue that down there. So here we go. This is just creating a flap for me to add some interest. And I want that to go here. There we go, that fits in really well. So I could have glued this straight onto that page and that would have covered up those lines that are there. So I could have done that, but I've decided to create a flat, but I still want to cover this. So I found one of these sort of vintage looking envelopes. I cut off it only had it's like a seed envelope, so the sides are glued to the middle here, and it had only a tiny flap, but the flap didn't cover the notch that I cut out, so that's why I've cut that off. And if I'd thought about it, I probably should have done it without the seam, done it that side and cut the notch that way. Doesn't matter. So that's going to sit in here as a little tuck spot, but before I do that, I wanted to put some book page over. So what I've done is just cut it a little bit smaller than the edges, and then I've just made sure that I've left a little bit there. So let me glue that down. There we go. So that's given me a bit of a interest in some base there. And then what I wanted to do was grab these. Now, if you're new to Carolyn's kits and you haven't seen these before, there are 3 pockets that look like this. And so I have gone around and inked around the, have I or not, the edges. Yeah, it looks like I have. And then I want to glue them as staggered pockets like that. So we need to line them up. Now you can do them one by one on the page, but what I'm going to do is measure them up here and then just glue them together first. Okay, now once I'm ready, this is going to be stuck on here for my pockets. Now I haven't decided which tags I'm going to put into those, so I'm not going to glue it down just yet, but what you want to do is glue down the 3 sides. But if you want this one to be a shorter pocket for the tag, then you would glue down here and then create your tag that size, and then glue down this one and glue down this one. But because I haven't decided which tags are going to go in, I'm just not going to glue it just yet, but that will go there. But what I do want to do is I have already made this tag. Now there were 3 tags in Carolyn's kit that were, I know it was definitely this one, then a blank one, and then there was one on the left. I can't remember it was this or another one, but what I've done is I've printed this one a couple of times, and I'll show you why. Oh, and just to show you, I have sewn some of my pockets and things with the darker thread. So that's what it looks like there. So I've printed these a couple of times, so because I wanted to use up all the spare bits of paper that I have, you know, all the little offcuts and things. So for this one, I've just torn the edge. It doesn't matter if the bottom edge is straight, just the top one. You want to make sure that you place this one down first, then your torn paper on your next layer, the torn on the top on your next layer, and just layer them on top of each other. So I've done it as a strip along the bottom, but I probably will make some more where it's from the top to the bottom all covered with lots of strips of paper, and it's a great way to use up those. And then I've just added a little bit on the back here. And then there were two circles that were sort of these shape that were in the kit. So this one and then this one. And this little piece was from the offcut from the collage window. So one of these, I don't know where the other envelope is. This envelope. So the cutout that I used when I was adding my window, I said in the first video, I'll keep that because I might use it for something, and there was a tiny little clock face. So that was really cute. I just cut that out and popped it on the top of this, and then I thought it perfectly matched with that one on the back. So that's going to be the tag that's going to go in there. So that looks quite cute, doesn't it? I am ready to glue this down. I'm going to, instead of doing 3 sides and then having another pocket at the back, I thought I'd glue 1, 2, 3 sides, and then I can have a pocket on the side. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just looking, where do I want it to sit? Probably around about there. Okay, so let's take the tag out, and I want to put my thumb on here, which is telling me not to glue down that side. So 1, 2, 3. And then I want that to sit. I'm just going to use this line along here to show me whereabouts I want to move it up a bit. Yep. There we go. Okay, so that's safe for me to put that one back in there. And that actually looks lovely. You could leave that as is and not put anything on the top of that, but I will add these pockets on there at a later date. And then when I do the final flip through, you'll see what I add to a pocket there. It's something with a side tab to pull out there. So there we go. There's another piece of ephemera, how to fix that. I just wanted to speed through how I decorate one of the tags. So it's got this one on the reverse, and on this one, this is a great way to use up all of your little strips of paper. So what I've done is I've just got my strips and I've torn at least one edge. The other edge can be straight, but the top edge needs to be ripped, and then you ink it if you'd like to as well. Okay, so I've just got a whole bunch of papers here, and I'm just going to speed through as I glue them down because I'm trying to fit as much as I possibly can in the video for you. Okay, so there we go. That's how simple it is. You know, some you might like better than others. It just sort of depends what papers that you use, etc. You might want to wait for it to dry a little bit before you cut, because it was still wet when I was doing it, and it was gunking up my scissors a little bit, but that's okay, they're easily cleaned. And in the past I have done these with some beautiful handmade papers, so there was real texture fiber and things like that that was going on in this. And as an alternative, if you didn't want to ink the edges, you could actually go around with gold pen, because that looks actually really lovely as well as you break up. So I've done one where it's not so much strips but lots of patches and things like that, and so with gold, linking them all together is actually really great as well. So there you go, another quick idea how to use up your scraps. I printed off an envelope that was on the Vintage Blue kit. So that's the card to go inside with the envelope, and then this is one of the pages that I've printed on the reverse. So I'm going to cut this out, and then the reason I've done this is because I wanted to show you a new closure idea for an envelope. Let's have a look at how we can do a closure for this. Now I've had a bit of a fiddle and made this one, and it's very tiny, but what it means is that it can sit there, and then with the brad you can open and close with this little lever here. This one was quite tiny and it was using my punch here. Now this one is 5/8 of an inch, so it's 1.5 centimeters. I think it's quite small, and it was a bit fiddly getting the bits and pieces there. So the next one, I've got the next size up, my punch is 1 inch, which is 2.5 centimeters, so it's this size. So what you want to do is grab whatever pattern paper you want to have on the top, and then back it with some card because you want it to be quite firm. So there we go, and I've inked it around the edge. And I've inked around the edge of this envelope as well, and if I bring it up you might be able to see that I've done some cream stitching around the front of the envelope, and then I've done it around the lip of the envelope and this bit as well. So that's just a bit of a finishing touch, and then the card that goes inside has got some brown stitching on that one. Okay, so then what we want to do, so that's 1 inch, that, but use whatever circle punch you've got if you've got one. And then what I've done is this is 3/4 of an inch width, and it is 1.5 inches long. So if you've got a corner rounder, what I want to do is just a small little corner, just so it's not so sharp on that end. And where I've punched the hole, I've just punched the middle first and then measured that up, put a little dot in the circle where I wanted it. See how it sits there neatly in the center of that circle. And so once I punched the top hole, I just put a little pencil mark, came back, and then went and used the smallest size on the crocodile, put it in there, and then matched up with a little circle. Okay, so that's what I've done on there. This one sits on top, and then on this end I wanted to make it a sharper end, so I'm using the big section of the corner rounder like that, and so it's sort of come to more of a point. And then I'm just going to ink, this is just a dark blue ink around the edges like that, and then I place this with the smallish corners, and then my brad, and put it in there like that, and then pull back the pronged legs, and then just try and flatten it out as much as I can. Okay, so let's have a look with the bottom of the envelope. So the beauty of this is, instead of just having the lever with the legs on the back, if you punch that through, things might catch up on the legs at the back. By putting it on a circle, it means that the legs are here, and we can glue this part to the envelope, and this bit will still freely move for a closure. So I can put this here. You want to leave at least an 1/8 of an inch at least, so that you can close this lip will close properly. So when you're measuring it up, you want to make sure that it's an 1/8 of an inch from there. Okay, and then we're going to glue that down. So do I like this one, or do I like the little one? The bigger one covers the flower, but I think that one, the bigger one, actually works a little bit better on there. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this down. Use art glitter glue or a strong glue. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull it up so I can see. There we go, about there. Just press that down firmly and let that dry. Just press it down lots. Okay, and there we have a lever to close. So my go-to to close an envelope is normally, this one's a bit big, sorry, maybe something like this, is to just glue down the bottom half of a circle or a label. It doesn't have to be a circle, it can be a label shape. You just glue down half, and the half you glue down to the page, and the top bit you don't, and then that, if you glue that down there, that just sort of fits in under that slip in and out. So that's the easiest way to do an envelope closure. But for an alternative, you might like something like this instead. These also are going to be great to put onto our pages. So when we have a journal page and we have something that's flip-flopping around and we want to close it, we can stick one of these in on the page, and that can close for us as well. So there you go. So that's idea number one. I'm going to come back with another idea for another closure on a different envelope. So here's the next idea for an envelope closure. On this one, I have once again sewn around the edges, just in some cream around there. So you don't have to do that, that's just an option. Now to do the closure, this one I've used a 1.5 centimetre, 1.5 inch circle. So you could use whatever size you like, and even a butterfly would be really cute for this idea as well. So something like that can be really cute. I'm not going to do the butterfly this time, I'm just going to show you simply with a circle. So what you need is you need 2 pieces of paper that is backed onto some card, so whatever spare card that you've got, and you want to make it bigger than the circle, this little closure bit, the pinch bit. So because this is 1.5 inches, my card needs to be 2 inches tall, and this way it's 1 inch. I've actually cut 2 pieces 2 by 2 just to make it a little bit easier for me to cut, and then I can cut it down to 1 inch. You'll know what I mean in just a second. So what we've got is a 2 by 2 inch piece of card here, and then what I want to do is center that. So center that image there, and you can see that I've actually folded that in half, that circle, and I want to put a dot above it and a dot below it, and so that's going to be my cutting line to make sure that this fits inside the cut, like that. So if you had a butterfly shape, you want to make sure that it can fit in that way. You'll see why I'm not going to use the butterfly for this envelope in just a second. Okay, so we've got 2 spots there. So what you can do is get your hole punch. I'm using the crocodile, and I'm using the smallest punch, and by doing this is going to give me, I don't know if you can see, but where the dot is, I'm putting the edge of the circle on the dot, and that's going to give me a round edge to my cut. So I'm going to do that, and then on the other end, oops, there we go. And then I want to join the edges together. So here you can see there's a round edge, and then you can either use some scissors or you can use a cutting knife and your ruler, and you're just going to want to join those 2 circles together by cutting. Okay, so there's that one, and then turn it over. Go, and then that should just pop out. There we go. Now if you didn't get it quite, like that one's a little bit off, I'm just going to straighten that up because it's indenting a bit, not quite on the edge. Don't worry, you don't have to have it perfect. There we go. And so what I might go in is just go in with my sharp little scissors and just chop that away. Okay, so there we go, there's that. Now this is actually too wide, so I just didn't want it to be too fiddly with it being a little bit short. So I want to cut off 1/2 inch. You know, if you can try it instead of wasting card, you can just start off with a shorter width, like 1 inch. Hope that's making sense. I just didn't want to be fiddly while I was filming. So there we go. We're just cutting off 1/2 inch on either side, and therefore I'm left with 1 inch there. Okay, and what I want to do is just soften the corners. So I'm just going to the corner rounder and just using the smaller section there. There we go. And like I've done with the other one, I just want to ink the edges. So I'm just using some green ink. There we go. Okay, and just touch up some more green on my circle there. Okay, so let's pull over an envelope. So I want to have a contrast instead of this one on the top, because it's the same pattern as that. I'd like a contrasting one. So this one's going to sit on top. However, what I have done is you center up where you want your little circle to come out. So center it up there, and where the slot is, you grab a pencil and you go around and draw that slot in. And so now I'm going to cut that out. Okay, so now we have a slot there. And so what these are actually for is just to strengthen where this is going to come together. So I'm going to glue this one on top. There we go. How cute is that butterfly on the other side? That's going to be a shame to cover it up. And we're just going to stick some glue. There's my excess there. And just glue this one down. And so this is just going to give us a bit of stability and firmness for this closure. There we go. So the front and the back of that flap, and then the beauty is to measure this here. So I folded this in half, and then I am going to glue down here. And stick that in the slot there. Okay, and then lift it up, so I don't want it to stick to the slot, and just hold it there for it to dry. Okay, there's a little bit of glue I could feel on the top there. I'm just going to wipe that off, and then we're just going to hold this down. Okay, now the reason why I didn't do the butterfly, because if you see here, it does fit in. However, the butterfly would go sideways, which is actually okay if you wanted it to go sideways. If you're going to put this into your journal that way, you could actually do that, and actually that would look quite cute. Maybe I've changed my mind. That could look quite cute there. The only reason I didn't do it was because I thought there wasn't quite enough room to do this bit going long ways. Make sure that when you're doing this idea that you're using an envelope that hasn't sort of got a cutaway down here. You need this space here to put your closure. So you need an envelope that's got quite a high bottom flap. Hope that makes sense. I'm just wondering if I can stick the butterfly right in the center. Let's give it a go, and if it doesn't work, this butterfly is not made with card, so it's just going to be a bit of a decoration on that circle. If you're going to do just a butterfly without the circle underneath, you would definitely need it to be on some card. You need it to be firm. Okay, so I'm just wondering if I can stick that there. It's going to pinch together. Okay. Make sure that's going to go through the flap. does. I should probably wait for it to dry. It does. I'm just going to leave it for the moment because it really does need to firm up and dry on there. So we'll come back to that and I'll let you know if it works or not. Here's my next page with some pockets. So we call these, they're sort of like little seed long envelopes. So in the kit there is this one, and so it's got like a little coffee cup print there, and then this was the print that I put on the reverse. So what I've decided was, instead of that being on the outside, that's going to be on the outside, this is on the inside. And then with some paper that I had, I drew around as another template to make myself a second little envelope. And so this one I've already glued together and then glued down to the page. So what you'll see here is that I have stitched around the edge of the whole thing, and then because I wanted a notch here so I could get into the envelope, I have taken out a notch there with my circle punch. And because there was stitching along there, I have just actually added some glue on either side just to hold those stitches down. Okay, so I think that's pretty dry now. So this part I actually want to be a flap. If you don't want it to be, and it can be a floating envelope within the journal, you would glue this side and this side and fold those down, and that will give you your full capacity for anything that can slip in there, right up to that edge and then right up to that edge as well. And then that's your little flap. And then you can put something inside there and then grab it out with like a little, with that little bit of space there. But I'm going to use this as a flap. So what I need to do is glue this bit down so it's closed. Shut on the bottom like that. And then I want to put the thinnest amount of glue along the side to close that. So I'm going to do that now. There's some stitches along there. So sorry, that's why it's sort of jumping up and around. There we go. And just close that up. There we go. And now, because of this flap, just make sure that that's dry, that closes down. Just make sure that this edge is cut away so that it can close, and it's not going to adhere this, not interfere with this bit here. That's the flap that we're going to glue down. So what I thought was, on this page, I'll just do, so it's around like that. I just wanted it staggered. So I'm going to want, I'm just going to put a little bit of pencil there and there. That's where I want it to sit. That one's angled a little bit. I might just slightly angle that there. There we go. And then I want this. Don't know if that's straight. Hang on. Let me round about there. Let me just check that that looks straight enough. That looks like it's on an angle. I think that's okay. So I want to stick that down. There we go. Okay. So on this page, we've got this one that opens up, and then this one that opens up. And you know what? You could even put in a third one. Even do another one here maybe. Okay, I'll have a little bit of a play and see if I want to add a third one there, or you've got your little bookmarks or things you could put there, and then you've also got a whole bunch of writing space that you can put there as well. Put something like that, and that'll keep that one closed. And then that's an idea. Some of these. By grace through faith, God is my strength. And that's going to add a bit of dimension to the page by doing that. That one can click in there. That one can click in there. I might do that. But I need it to be a little bit firmer. These are on just like I think 120 GSM, a bit thicker than paper, because they could be just sort of stuck as a decoration. And they don't need to be too thick, but if you are going to use them as something like a closure, you need to put them on some card. So I'll probably go do that, add those, and then you'll see how it looks in the final flip through. Okay, next few ideas, just the really quick one. I put this fussy cut just on the top of that tag there, so that one goes in there, so that's very simple. This side is very simple again. I've just double printed this and glued it on the 3 edges, and that has just created a pocket there. And before you glue it down, if you cut just along this line here, you can create a secret little pocket, and there can be another one in there. Okay, so that's that one. Now turning over to the telephone, this one does require a couple of reprints, so if you're okay with that, this is the idea I have. So I'm wanting to create a little door to open, so it's going to go like that. So the second print is obviously the telephone box again, and I did reprint, I did isolate the image and cut out my little pocket down here so I can include a tag. If you don't want to do that, you can just print, you could put your little fussy cut or some scripture or something directly on this backing piece, and that would save you having to do a reprint. But this is the little idea that I had, and if you print on the reverse, you can have whatever on the back. I actually have got that on there. So what you do is when you reprint this image, you just go around with your cutting knife and then cut around those 3 edges, and then it's the hinges on this side here. Now because I'm putting a tag in underneath, I have decided to use mounting tape just to give it a little bit of a lift. If you weren't going to, you put a tag in there and you could just do a fussy cut in there or some scripture or something, then you could just glue this frame down and so that it would just be flat. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. This one I didn't cut just here where it's going to slip into. I cut it right around the edges because that's going to be my glue space. So I'll just do that now. Okay. And just line that up. There we go, that's just created a little pocket for my tag. Let's hope this fits in there. I'm pretty sure it does. And what I did was I just had some brown metallic card offcut, and then I fussy cut. The fussy cuts I printed 2 to a page, so I got a smaller little telephone image, and then I just printed on my computer. This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. 1 John 5:14. And on the reverse I put, the righteous cry out and the Lord hears them, he delivers them from all their troubles. Psalm 34:17. So that's my little tag that's going to go in there. So now that I've got it's cut and hinged, it's ready to glue down. I think I'm, even with the mounting tape, I think I'm even going to still put glue on it just to give it a bit more firmness, just to make sure it stays put. And it's not going to give me much wriggle room, so hopefully I can glue this down straight. I might just pull this a little bit closer to me. You might not see me doing it, sorry, because I've got to get a better view of it. Okay, let's just gently pop that down. It's reminding me of paper towel. You know, back in the, I don't know, was it the 90s that paper towel was in? That's a little bit like what this is. Okay, and then I haven't figured out what I might do for the closure or how to lift that up. But there we go. We've got our little door. I just want to be careful with that. So you don't want to be too rough with it, but there's a little door, and my little tag should fit in like that in there. There we go. So that can be pulled in and out. Okay, so I might come up with some Velcro. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll figure something out about closing that, or if it sits okay in the journal without me having to close it. Because I've done the 3D mounting tape, it sort of actually does sit in there quite well, and it's a little secret spot. Here's my next idea. Now, please excuse that lots of stuff I've already done because I try to cram as many ideas as I can in one video for you. So I don't want to bore you with lots of tedious bits. So the idea of this one was to use, this was some food packaging, and I loved the color of the inside of the box on this. And so wherever we can, or if we can recycle, that's great, especially with this as it's, you know, a vintage vibe journal. So what I've done is just some music sheet I stuck on the reverse side, and then just rounded the corners and inked with an espresso ink. And then I actually found an old stamp. So it's a wooden stamp. I've actually got rid of most of mine, but this was one of those, and so it just said music and different texts and fonts, etc. And so I just sort of stamped that around on the background. So then I've grabbed a bit of, this is from the Lace Papers kit. So I've grabbed some of that, and I'm going to stick that down there for like a belly band. And then this beautiful gentleman is going to sit on the top of that. And then I'm going to probably put that one maybe on that side, down there. And then what I'm going to do is glue on the top and the bottom, but actually glue a strip down the center. So instead of one big card being through the whole the width of that belly band, I'm going to create it so it's got two sides. So one card's going to go on one side and one on the other one. So this one is from the kit. So I've just stitched, that's Lace Papers on the back, and I've just stitched around that. So that can go on one side. And then this one is the fussy cut that I've just put some on some of the backing paper here. This actually was a one strip on one of the papers. So I've done that and then put it on just some very dark brown metallic card. On the reverse, just ripped with my ruler some cream paper, and then I found a French horn stamp, so I've just stamped that one on the back. So those two are going to stick in there. And with the background of the green, I was thinking I'd probably put it on this page here. So I'm not sure if I'll use this as just a paper clip to hold it still as a floating journal card, like a big journal card, or because you can write on the back of it here, or whether I'll create a pocket, but I'll show you that through the final flip through. So let's stick all these pieces down, and I'll just speed through that. Okay, there we go. So there's that idea. Hopefully it's going to fit on the journal page. I hadn't thought about that one. So it might stick out a little bit. Might have to do something. Okay, we'll have a little think about how we can do that. Maybe this one. Whoops. That was my idea, to put that in there, but I think I'm just going to let that dry so that it won't stick back down again. This one, it might actually have to go through all of them, but it is definitely an idea to cut a strip if you have smaller journal cards for either side. And then that's a really cute way to have little cards on either side of your belly band. It's not going to work on this because I was thinking on the fly and made my cards a little bit too big. But that's okay, it's an idea for next time. It's okay, I quickly fixed the issue. So what I've done is just glued the top and the bottom, and then I ran a little bit of glue just to this point here, and that means this card will not go any further than there, but it's only gone up to about there. So that's the stopping point for there. And then I've glued a little bit down this side. So this, not all the way down because you don't want it to interfere with this card, but just this much here, and then therefore that has stopped, and this card won't go any further than that point there. So there and there. There we go. That's probably all I can fit in this video. I'm just going to go edit and upload, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to be able to squeeze it in just under an hour. If it goes over that, it just doesn't load up properly onto YouTube. So anyway, hope that was lots of fun and you enjoyed that, got some ideas out of this journal, and that you're okay being with me on this journey for part 1, 2. It looks like I'm going to have to do a part 3 and possibly even a part 4 as I'm coming up with different ideas to put together in this journal. So until next time, God bless. Wish you all the very best and happy crafting. Bye.